what's up, gamers?
So, I've been watching Dani for almost over a year now, and he's honestly one of the main reasons I got back to game development. So, I wanted to repay the favor by creating a game for Dani. If you live under a rock and don't know who Dani is, he is one of the biggest indie devloggers out there with over 2 million subscribers. So, I started by thinking about the type of game I was going to create. I wanted to create a third-person shooter, but I knew it was going to be a lot of work as we would have to model stuff and it requires a lot of animations. And I'm not good at either of those things, or anything actually. So I decided to create a 2D platformer. I've only created one 2D platformer before and it wasn't a disaster. So the main idea of the game is that you start off trying to kill oranges because Dani hated orange juice in the start, but later formed an alliance with them. So you team up with the oranges to destroy Billy and get to the milk as fast as possible. So I started off by going into Photoshop to create a character for Dani. After a while I had this. This character design is heavily inspired with Thomas Brush. He's an amazing indie game dev with multiple Steam releases and a great channel. Be sure to check him out, the link will be down in the description. So after creating the character, I went back to Unity to create the movement script. And after a while we could move, jump and even double jump. I was pretty happy with how it looked and felt, so I went back into Photoshop to create the art for the first level. I created a simple nighttime background for the game, and I also created some tile maps. I mean, I could have created the levels right in Photoshop, but it's much easier to create them using tile map, and it allows me to edit them much easier right in Unity. So I went back to Unity, and after like 10 minutes I had created my first level. Well, we have a problem. The camera can look ahead of the level and just follows the player. So we removed our camera of movement and started using virtual cameras. This allows us to add boundaries to the camera that it can't exceed. After setting it up, this is how it looks. Much better. Well, it's very easy to complete the levels, so let's add some enemies. I went back into Photoshop, this time to create enemy sprites. I first created a simple orange sprite, and by simple I mean it's legit just an orange circle with eyes. I then created a sprite for Billy, and then added both of these into Unity and started working on the enemy AI. And after a little while, I had it working perfectly. Or not. So I edited the script a bit and now it's working just fine. Well, Dani looks a little weird, so I started working on the animations for Dani, and after a little while I had a simple run and idle animations. Then we connected some lines, wrote a bit of code, and hey, he doesn't look that weird when he's moving. Great. So I then created a milk sprite which you have to collect at the end of the level to complete it. It doesn't do anything yet, but it will. Well, the enemies can't really damage us, so I started working on a player health and enemy damage script using a simple tutorial from Brackeys. We also added a health bar to indicate the health you are on. Well, we have a problem. We can't really attack the enemies, so I created a simple banana sword which came out better than I had expected. I added it into Unity and started working on the attack animations, along with an enemy damage script. Well, we have one problem. We don't have knockbacks. Knockback is basically when the enemy damages us, the player gets knocked back so he has enough time to react to it. This also applies to enemies, so when we attack them, they get knocked back. This stops the player from spam attacking. Well, there weren't many tutorials on how to achieve this. I first used a rigid body.add force and it wasn't really working as it applied less force on the x-axis and more on the y, and it was only one directional. So we started using transform.translate. This kind of just transports the player, but it gets the job done. So we added this to the player and the enemy, and now it looks great. So we started working on creating levels for the game. We created 5 different levels, 3 of them where we had to kill oranges and 2 of them where we had to kill Billy. Okay, we can't really move between these levels, and this is where the milk comes in. So I wrote a simple script and made a simple panel. So when we collide with the milk, it activates this panel which allows us to retry the level, go to the next level or the main menu. We also created a losing panel and a main menu. Okay, that will be the end of this video. If you're wondering how you can play this game, well, it's not out yet. because the game is just a little buggy. But if this video does well, I might do a part 2 where I create more levels, fix the issues with the game, and release it for everybody to play on itch.io. If you enjoyed this video and want to see a part 2, smash subscribe, like and share this video. And follow all of my socials, link will be down in the description. Okay, I'm out. Peace.